both latest and ordinary Mazda and Ford. They also stock service parts such as diesel filters, aircon filters, diesel pumps, steering pumps, turbochargers, engine overhaul gaskets, suspension parts, and body parts. If they don't have parts you're looking for, they can order within 5 to 10 working days. To top it up, Shuma Auto Parts also supply Maxxis tires and CST tires.
Really? But where are they found?
They are found on Chandram Sonda Road, Cruiser Auto Workshop in Lusaka. Call on 0979 192057 and 0960 747235. Email shumaautoparts@gmail.com. Shuma Auto Parts for all your genuine vehicle parts.
The happy world of 5FM Radio, your adult contemporary radio station in Zambia, connecting you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening. This is the 5FM main news headlines. World Meteorology Organization has convened to address Africa's climate-related issues. WaterAid Zambia and Standard Chartered Bank donate assorted commodities worth over 1.3 million kwacha as part of the response towards cholera. South Africa's unemployment rate rises. This news bulletin is also streaming live on the 5FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. And now the main news in detail. I'm Hebet Mutabi. The World Meteorology Organization, WMO Regional Association for Africa, is virtually convened in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, from 13th to 15th May 2024 to address Africa's challenges in weather, water, and climate-related issues. The session takes place as devastating floods in East Africa and drought in Southern Africa highlight the huge impact on vulnerable societies. The meeting brings together heads of national meteorological and hydrological services throughout Africa, and it aims to address critical concerns facing the strengthening of observation networks, enhancing climate services, promoting sustainable water management, and fostering regional cooperation. WMO President Abdullah Al-Madwas said that the organization is working to ensure that Africa has the capacity to deliver the weather, climate, and water services that are essential for sustainable development. And President of the Regional Association for Africa, Fetene Shome, said that the Regional Association is cautious of implementing the early warnings for all in Africa, which seek to strengthen national multi-hazard early warning or alert systems and to better enable an effective response to risks to ensure that every citizen is covered with early warning by 2027. This is contained in a statement issued by WMO Regional Office for Africa Public Relations Officer Cosmos Akande Alosoka. Green Economy and Environment Minister Collins Nzovu says Zambia, like many other African countries, is in dire need for climate financing to reverse the impact which has taken a toll on the country. Speaking at the Zanaco Climate Finance Symposium today, Mr. Nzovu said that the loss and damage caused by the climate crisis threatens the continent's economic growth, and by 2050, Africa's adaptation costs could soar. He says that this therefore calls for concerted effort in addressing the costs and financing gaps because addressing climate change requires enormous financial resources which government alone cannot afford. The minister revealed that the cost of implementing nationally determined contribution NDC requires up to $17.2 billion, while the National Adaptation Plan, which provides a roadmap for building resilience in various sectors, requires $34.7 billion from 2023 to 2035, and $10.4 billion is needed to actualize the green growth strategy.
Right now, there's 50 million US dollars with Zama. We need to come up with bankable projects to assess that finance. But the challenge also, the local banks, it's a challenge we've been giving to multilateral development banks, MDBs. How do you reduce the risk? How do you reduce the interest rates? We always talk about finance, which must be accessible, which must be adequate, which must be available. How do we access this? The answer again lies in what this crisis has brought on board. There's energy security. So we need energy projects, solar projects, wind projects.
And Zanaco Chief Executive Officer Mukwandi Chiwesakunda said that the symposium has brought together project developers, sponsors, investors, regulators, government agencies, and other enthusiasts in climate action to identify Zambia's bottlenecks in the space of climate finance and explore ideas on how to accelerate the financing of the country's mitigation and adaptation efforts.
The United Nations reports that Africa will be $2.5 trillion short of the finance it needs to cope with climate change by 2030. We believe that the continent can lobby and attract more funds to cushion the deficit through interventions such as this symposium today. Today's symposium has brought together project developers, sponsors, investors.
Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Donor Coordination, George Sinyangwe, has applauded WaterAid Zambia and Standard Chartered Bank for partnering with the government by donating assorted commodities worth over 1.3 million kwacha as part of the response towards cholera. Speaking during the handover ceremony, Dr. Sinyangwe said that the fight against cholera has been successful because of the many support from the stakeholders. He has assured the two entities that will be used for the intended purpose. The permanent secretary has revealed that the government has made strides in ensuring that the Abuja Declaration on Health Allocation over 15% is met. Dr. Sinyangwe says as of now, the government has allocated 12% of the total national budget to the health sector in the current budget, adding that it is commendable considering the past.
I want to take this opportunity to encourage other corporate entities and development partners to emulate your gesture so that we increase the resource envelope for the Ministry of Health. The government, under the leadership of His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, is doing a lot to improve the health status of the Zambian people. Some of the works include, but not limited to, the following. The government is improving our infrastructure, and this year the government is committed to completing all the unfinished health facilities and providing them with the necessary equipment.
And WaterAid Zambia Country Director Yanko Mataya says that the organization urgently needs to see investment in water and sanitation increase.
We saw the people in the age group of 16 to 55 years among men and also 26 to 55 years affected quite significantly by cholera. And cholera did not only happen here in Zambia, we also did see that cholera happened elsewhere in the Southern Africa region, Malawi, Mozambique, and it has been quite a persistent problem across this part of our continent. And being who we are as WaterAid, our core business is water, sanitation, and hygiene.
Meanwhile, Standard Chartered Bank Managing Director Sonny Zulu says that there is a lot of mindset change needed from the people to curb cholera, especially with regards to cleanliness and dumping of litter.
The fact that there is no cholera today should not make any one of us relax. In fact, the best time to fight any pandemic like cholera is to do so before they break out. Waiting until there's a breakout is actually too late.
A 35-year-old man of Chainda compound, identified as Jason Banda, has been arrested for being in possession of suspected stolen planks. Mr. Banda is among the 28 people, including 8 females, that were arrested by police in Osaka during an operation that was carried out in Chainda compound and Minwood Ibex, getting notorious groups which have been attacking members of the public in the areas. Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale was interrogated and later led officers to Minwood Ibex, where the property was stolen. He says that the suspect has been detained in custody together with other suspects aged between 17 and 35 who have been charged and arrested for idle and disorderly. Council has successfully completed the installation of 28 solar-powered streetlights along 20th Street in Livala Ward, Kawata constituency at a total cost of over 1 million kwacha using the 2023 Constituency Development Fund CDF. Assistant Public Relations Manager Nyambe Bolumba says that the installation, which commenced in February 2024, was undertaken to enhance security and safety for pedestrians and motorists, particularly at night, and to support the growth and development of the area. Mr. Bolumba says the solar-powered streetlights were used to reduce reliance on ZESCO connection and minimize electricity costs. He explains that the streetlights were installed on 20th Street, which stretches from Bama Road to beyond Chirumburu Road, and marks a significant investment in the well-being and prosperity of Livala Ward residents.
The project costed 1,151,700 kwacha and was funded using the 2023 CDF allocation for Kawata constituents. The installation, which commenced in February this year, is aimed at enhancing security and safety for pedestrians and motorists in the area, especially at night. The solar-powered option reduces reliance on ZESCO connection and will further minimize electricity costs that the council has been incurring.
In other stories trending this evening, opposition leadership movement leader Richard Silumbe has underscored the need to explore nuclear power production in harnessing electricity generation. The Monetary Policy Committee is holding its quarterly meeting from May 13th to 14th, 2024. This will be followed by the monetary policy rate announcement on May 15th, 2024. Up next, business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
Ministry of Tourism Permanent Secretary Evans Muhanga says the government will continue to support efforts by various stakeholders in promoting tourism development and growth. Speaking at the Africa Travel Indaba, which is taking place in Durban, South Africa, Mr. Muhanga said that this year's impressive turnout from Zambian private companies is a testimony of their resolve to foster increased awareness of Zambia as a tourism destination of choice. Mr. Muhanga, who is leading the Zambian delegation, says it is important that Zambia has recorded such a huge private sector participation at one of the largest Africa travel endeavor, as this will raise the profile of the country on the continent and globally. And Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa is impressed with the turnout of Zambian companies participating at the 2024 Africa Travel Endeavor, adding that Zambia will be exposed to a larger tourism community through the linkages and networking that will be created. This is according to a statement issued by First Secretary, Press and Public Relations at the Zambian High Commission in South Africa, Tamara Nyirenda. Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
In foreign news, South Africa's unemployment rate rose to 32.9% in the first quarter of the year. The National Statistics Body announced 2 weeks before the country goes to the polls. It signals an increase of 0.8% from the last quarter of 2023. South Africa has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. 1 in 2 young South Africans is unemployed and 60% are living below the poverty line. Stubbornly high unemployment, corruption, and persistent economic inequalities are some of the dominant election issues. Here's a roundup from the BBC for other world news stories.
The mining giant Anglo American has said it will offload some of its operations as it tries to fend off a takeover by its rival BHP. The London-listed firm plans to sell or demerge its interests in steel, diamonds, platinum, nickel and coal. It comes a day after Anglo American rejected an improved offer of $43 billion. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been discussing weapons deliveries with President Zelensky on an unannounced visit to Kyiv. Mr. Blinken said the weapons were already arriving on the battlefield, with more on the way. The trip aims to reassure Ukraine about, as Mr. Blinken put it, America's unwavering support. It comes amid Russian advances in the Kharkiv region. A huge manhunt is underway in France after 2 prison officers were killed and 3 others seriously wounded when their van was ambushed as they transported a prisoner in Normandy.
In sports news, UEFA has told the teams at Euro 2024 that only captains will be allowed to approach referees to speak about decisions taken during games, and other players doing so risk being booked. The move by European football governing body is to try to stop groups of players mobbing referees in scenes which are bad for the image of football. UEFA's managing director of refereeing, Roberto Rossetti, said in a bid to improve the status quo, UEFA want referees to explain more of their decisions to all teams competing at the upcoming UEFA Euro 2024 tournament. UEFA's initiative follows football's lawmakers, the International Football Association Board IFAB, announcing trials earlier this year, which included only a team's captain being able to approach a referee in certain situations. Euro 2024 takes place in Germany, who will get the competition started with a game against Scotland on Friday, 14th of June, 2024. Here now is the evening weather report brought to you by Classic Econ. Stay tuned.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Econ.
A strong and relatively moist airflow from the southeast will be influencing the weather over most parts of Zambia, resulting to windy mornings and warm to hot weather conditions. Ends the weather report.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
That item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the top stories. The World Meteorology Organization has convened to address Africa's climate-related issues. WaterAid Zambia and Standard Chartered Bank donate assorted commodities worth over 1.3 million kwacha as part of the response towards cholera. South Africa's unemployment rate rises. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the Happy World of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. I'm Hebert Mutawi.